The movie I introduced to you today is People Like Us. Unlike previous movies, this movie had no dramatic plot. The life there is plain like boiled water, but it's enough to make us fall into contemplation. The protagonist of the film is a small employee, Sam. Like most people, he worked to make money every day, but in cargo transportation, he tried to save money for the boss. Of course, more importantly, he hoped to be appreciated by the boss. He chose a train with no cooling device to transport tomato soup. As everyone knew, the boxed tomato soup expanded with heat and exploded in the train. And this was also a serious violation of the state laws. For their hard-won work, Sam could only do his best to bribe some federal officials to avoid being sued. In the afternoon, after Sam got home, his girlfriend, Hannah, told him that his father died suddenly. Sam, who hadn't settled well, had to go home with his girlfriend. But at the airport, Sam accidentally discovered that his ID was missing. When the two of them found his ID card and hurried back home, the funeral was over. Sam's mother showed her appreciation for Hannah, but with Sam, there was just disappointment. Knowing that he and his mother had nothing to say, he could only go upstairs alone and came to his father's room. Sam's father, Jerry, was a famous record producer, but since childhood, Sam hardly felt his father's love for him. They had a few happy memories except his taken to the park on Sunday. And even when he went to the park, Jerry just sat in the car and listened to records. This made Sam thought he was not as important as the records in his father's heart. Sam didn't get excited until his father's lawyer found him. The lawyer gave Sam a shaving kit in which was his father's last wish. Sam opened it excitedly and found that there was $150,000 inside. Unfortunately, the note in the kit said he hoped Sam would give this $150,000 to Josh. Sam found Josh and his mother Frankie according to the address on the note. He followed Frankie to the church. Here, Sam accidentally learned that Frankie was actually his half-sister. Sam couldn't accept this, let alone giving $150,000 to someone else. Because at the time, $150,000 was a huge sum of money. It was the salvation for his current life. He told Hannah about this. Hannah could not accept his idea and left by car. Sam was in a deep conflict. He was going to walk into Frankie's life to find evidence against Frankie to monopolize the money. The next day, he went to the bar where Frankie worked. He chatted with Frankie about life. The two had a very good time talking. But at the same time, Sam did not complete the official's request. He and the company had been complaining, and the boss yelled at him to go back quickly. And Sam, for those legacies, could only contact Frankie more frequently. Two people washed clothes together, went to dinner together. When talking about his father occasionally, Sam learned that Frankie, just like him, felt that she had never been loved by her father. Only her kind mother would take her to the park on Sunday. She hated her father, she hated her father's family and thought it was her father's family that took away his love for her. During the conversation with Frankie, Sam gradually got to know his sister. His heart began to melt. He admired Frankie's strength. He wanted to make up for his sister. In the following days, he drove Josh and Frankie together. They ate a big meal, listened to Josh's Enemy drums, and shot a video together. Three people spent many happy days together. Finally, with the encouragement of his girlfriend, Sam no longer wanted to hide. He gave the shaving kit to the lawyer and wanted to give the money to his sister. When Sam got home, he found his mother sitting on the ground. He ran to the room and checked his mother's medical record and found out that his mother had been sick for a long time. He confessed to his mother about Frankie. Unexpectedly, his mother already knew about this a long time ago that Sam attributed to Frankie's lack of paternal love as his father. The mother closed the door angrily. Sam felt frustrated and had no one to talk to. Unfortunately, the boss's lawyer called at this time and told him that he was fired. Sam had to fly back to solve the company's affairs. When he arrived at the airport, a member of the federal council called and told him that he had violated the law. At the same time, Frankie called. She told him that Josh broke his classmate's nose at school and hoped he could help her. Sam told Frankie he was at the airport, and Frankie hung up the phone disappointedly. Sam looked back at the airport attendant who was looking for his ID, suddenly made up his mind. On the other side, Frankie hurried to school and saw Josh sitting with Sam there. The two smiled at each other. After the problem was solved, Sam and Frankie returned home together. Frankie hugged Sam and begged him not to leave, hoping he could stay with them. But Sam was ashamed. He couldn't even look at Frankie. He had to tell Frankie that their father was the same person. Hearing the news, Frankie suddenly lost control. She went crazy and beat Sam and drove Sam out of the house. Later that night, Sam came home with a bag. His mother opened the door, but the two said nothing. Just seeing each other, they understand each other. Sam started to have time to watch The Cedar with his mother. He also accompanied his mother to the hospital for treatment. During this time, Sam's girlfriend also returned to him. One morning, Sam's mother told him that she forced Jerry to make a choice, making him give up Frankie. Just because she didn't want to hurt her cherished child, and this kid was Sam. Sam understood his mother's intentions and forgave her. Now he understood his father better. Because the father couldn't meet his daughter, so when he saw his son, I thought of his daughter. He wanted to cherish the little girl too but had to give up. The mother tried her best to protect her child, and the father wanted to protect the two children. Sam's mother gave Sam a video recorder. After Sam finished watching, he started looking for Frankie frantically. But Frankie had moved away, she bought a new house, and ended her career as a bartender. She began going to school for further studies. She seemed to want to forget about Sam, but Josh could never forget the uncle who taught him a lot. Josh went to Sam's house and left his new address. Sam and Frankie finally met again. Sam gave his father's record to Frankie and turned on the video with her. The father was holding the video recorder and patted the back of his son Sam. Then the camera turned to Frankie, who was playing with her mother. Two little children were playing happily and carefreely in the park. As a father, he might not be able to give the two children the love of a father, but he could use this method, using the video recorder to take care, to capture, to record the best childhood of two children. The film ends here. Like many ordinary families, there is no paternal love that is so great as to be awe-inspiring. There is also no dramatic plot. He is just a father, maybe a microcosm of many fathers, who will also make mistakes. Sometimes you don't know how to express your love, so your children will misunderstand. But the greatness of fathers' love is enormous. They always have their way to give their children their greatest love. As children, what we have to do is to understand for our fathers, or maybe correct their mistakes. Well, this video ends here. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, see you next time.